can't find him. But see, we told him, and so the point I'm making is, sometimes when you write, you're going to have to be by yourself. We're not sad being here by ourselves. We're not sad that all the property we own around here, we own it. We're not paying on it. Not paying no rent. We own all of this stuff. We own it because at that time the boss man was thinking if we can get them, you know, a big piece of the pie, they'll cooperate. That's not the way it is. The size of the pie, the nothing don't mean nothing. Nor, when Allah got you, a mission for you, He prepares you. Isolation, segregation, always being cut off from the general population since you're a kid, right? So, like right now, being isolated, if somebody else have a program that they have 5,000 people there, I could care less, right? Remember all the demonstrations what we have downtown? Thousands of people, we spoke before people. When they had that 500,000 demonstration down there, we're the only one to talk to people to say Allahu Akbar. Right?
That's right.
The only ones, okay? So, what that was a period of showing us what's available for you. If you cooperate with us, nigga, you're going to have all of this. That's what it was. Remember? For all the snitches now, for answering all that, what did we handle the stage on everything that happened here, right?
That's right.
We covered the stage. That means we're managing all of those different. So the people got so used to the men in black, they were saying, hey, remember the white folks would be passing their babies up to take pictures with us. Take pictures of my baby. Remember that? When we stand on the stage, the people would be passing their babies up to take pictures, and if they could stop us, they'd take pictures, all of that.
That's right.
So they thought that was the honey to get us to cooperate. But you notice what happened right after that? We told them to kiss our behind. We're not cooperating with nothing. You ain't doing right, and we ain't swallowing nothing you said. All of a sudden, nobody. What about all the people here? What would Eve look like? House full of Negroes. Every Juma and all other time, right? Nobody. All gone. Is it a big deal? It's not a big deal now, and it wasn't a big deal then, and it will never be a big deal. Because we knew what we was been. This is the third go-round for us. The first go-round, when that happened in Oakland, it was a big deal. To have all of those businesses, can you imagine? And you're from the town, and every time you drive down the street, everybody waving, and you can help people get this and help people that. That was the only place in America where, if you go to Oakland, you think you're going to hear about the Black Panther Party. Then and now. If you was around then, they told you about us way more than the Black Panther Party. In fact, all the top guys who was in the party joined our organization. Well, they was police, but, you know, they gonna make us feel at home. We don't care about the police joining up, you know, just like now. So what if the police, there's Negroes that think they're gonna have an organization in America, and it ain't gonna be just stuff with the police. They actually believe that. They do, some of them, they kind of do with this. That ain't possible. It's not likely and it ain't possible. But we use all that. We use all that for our benefit. I'm gonna try to get back to the subject, because we are doing a little light rambling. But I was doing a little light rambling because the woman called me the other night and saying, what you were saying wasn't making sense. And I said, no, you got the wrong idea. Then I started running down what we was talking about, just like now, you know what I mean? And talking about the dates and times and what we mean and what longevity means. revolutionary study, when we studied Chairman Mao, he always talked about protracted struggle. Protracted is long range. Protracted is over a long period of time. And so we noticed that the biggest weakness of black movements in America was they weren't protracted. We noticed that all the movements in Africa that were successful were protracted struggle. And they had time in the bush, you know. And most of the struggles, even in Cuba with Fidel and all the ones in Latin America, right now, the new president of Colombia is from M19.
Right.
The revolutionaries,
That's right.
guerrilleros.
That's right.
The guerrilleros who started the guerrillas in 1964. And so, okay, I'm gonna ramble, I don't care. No, because it's the information. Why the U.S. sent all those troops down to Colombia? Number one, to help the government stamp out the guerrilleros. Why? Because M19 and others for several years, they got into the drug trade. When they got into the drug trade, they got money for modern weapons. Can you imagine the guerrilleros now they got dope money, they got cocaine money, right? And they're spending it on their army. So they got more money for their army than the government has for its. Remember Pablo Escobar he said to the Colombian government over 20 years ago, he said, if you don't sign that extradition treaty, I'll pay off the Colombian debt, foreign debt to the United States. Remember that?
Yeah.
You know how much it was? $4.5 billion.
Right.
He said, if you ajax that treaty, I'll pay off the foreign debt. Your whole foreign debt, $4.5 billion. Look at the money they was having. Now imagine the guerrilleros, the guerrillas, they start to have that kind of money too. That's why all of a sudden we're talking all those peace treaties, join, because now they can fight the government. Because they can buy the same kind of weapons on the hot market that they can. Because they got more money from cocaine, right? Therefore, the experience that we've had, you can't just wrap it up in a bottle. But we make decisions based on that whole historical past. From Jahiliyyah here in America. Successful Jahiliyyah. Why is it good to be successful Jahiliyyah? Because if the government tried to bribe you with money, they can't bribe you. Because you didn't have as much money on your own as they can give you, right? What about if you've been everywhere in the world? So what about if you didn't learn from everybody? Africa, Asia, Indonesia. What if you've been all over the world? If now Sri Lanka is in the news and you've been to Sri Lanka many times and you were there, you know, during the struggles and what have you, and so you know about all of those struggles. In America, that hasn't happened. We're the only one here that's had first-hand experience with the whole movement over the last 50 years, and we're still alive. That is a great blessing. to be alive and active and not a puppet of the United States government, but have learned how to manipulate. How many Negroes can manipulate the U.S. government? Literally none. Everybody worked for them. How could they cut us off from you in the middle of the stream with everybody jumping up and down, and a month later nobody comes to visit you? Nobody, right? It's because everybody that you see on the news, every one of the people. What's all them white folks from Answer used to come? Answer.
Becker. Brian Becker.
Brian Becker and his brother and something. He got a brother and something. And how was they thinking that a movement started by the ex-attorney general? What was that guy's name? He was the attorney general during the 60s. Right. 68, I think it was his name in a minute. He used to be at all these, he was as though, oh, he's an ex-CIA agent. He's an ex-FBI. Say he's an ex-FBI. And y'all inviting him all to all your programs, or is that good for you? And so once you in, you in.
That's right.
Right, okay. Now I'm going to try to make sense of all of this talk. I mean, if you've been here many times, it would all make sense. But I have to put it, I'll go back to Khadijah for a minute. The lady called and said Friday's khutbah was ramming. You remember Friday's khutbah?
Yeah.
Friday's khutbah was on the point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And this is the first time I would take a call, but usually I just, clink it up, or I won't even answer. But I wanted to do that this time. In Oakland, whatever they did, this is the only group, our group, where anything the government wanted to do, they could do it out in the open. Just think about all the stuff that we've been, the stuff that we've been dealing with. We're dealing with it happily. It's not a problem. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give you the ability to meet challenges and overcome those challenges without any feeling of isolation, segregation, or being cut off or anything else. Because you're going to use all of that for your benefit. So whatever happened here, we use it for the benefit of the movement. Whatever happened in Oakland, we used it for the benefit of the movement there. Okay. So our research shows this, that out of this trip that we're on now, we call it a trip. And what we did, we would ask people how many want to go on this ride with me, because we used to ride in big cars a long time. So, anybody want to go on this trip with us? Everybody said, absolutely not. We don't want to go on that ride. Number 1, it's not Jahiliyyah. Number 2, it's Islamic. And number 3, boss man got you so surrounded, you're not going to be able to do nothing. Encirclement and suppression. So I want you to imagine here, we own 8 pieces of property, we're cut off from everything, but who's the number 1 group on how? Psychological guerrilla warfare. Right? Psychological guerrilla warfare. We won that already. That's in the past. Guerrilla warfare is when a small group is fighting a big group. It's guerrilla warfare. We learned that from our struggles with, from the Cubans, from Africa, Asia. guerrilla warfare. If you don't only have a small group of people and you're dealing with a big people, you got 10 people, or you got 100 people, the next patrol with 10 people in it, you raid them and hit them and take their weapons. Pretty soon you maybe have 150 people, 200 people. When you get 200 people, when a patrol come out, 20 people, you attack them. You never attack a bigger group or patrol. You only attack where you know you can win. So you attack that 20 with your 200 and you take their weapons and you take all of their stuff, right? And you're building up your resources. Pretty soon, all your people have weapons. And now you have 5,000 men. So when they send a crew out of 300 or 500, you attack them and take all of their stuff. Pretty soon you got an army of 10,000 men. I'm telling you, this is classical guerrilla warfare. This is what we learned from Asia. We learned it from all our studies. That this was, some years ago, this was the warfare that was working, and it worked. It worked in China, it worked in all the colonies in Africa. So, pretty soon you get an army big enough that now you can fight the army face to face, right? They got a 20,000 man army, and you got a 20,000 man army. Well, you got a 40,000 man army. You want to always keep things balanced in your favor. You attack them, fight them, take their weapons, and da-da-da-da. Now, you can meet, you evolve. You can meet the enemy on an open battlefield. Anytime and any place, but always to your advantage. Psychological guerrilla warfare is when a small group like us, right now, of course, we've written about it, everybody knows. The psychological guerrilla warfare, just so you understand what it is when a small group is fighting a big group, right? And that big group has unlimited resources, like the Americans. They have FBI, CIA, they got all that. They got snitches and stooges all over, everywhere. I'm not saying everybody is a snitch or a stooge, but you're getting up at this 90, 95%, you know. Think of the movement, the Islamic movement in America. What percentage would you say that the leaders are informants or collaborators? Some people would say 100%. I just say, no, it couldn't be no more than 98%. Right? I mean, but anybody outside of us, anybody they call themselves the big Islamic movement, I don't care where they are around here, they all collaborate with the United States government. Right?
That's right.
They all collaborate, everybody knows it. Well, the people don't know it, but a lot of people do. Okay. So psychological guerrilla warfare is guerrilla warfare. Small group fighting a big group. But it's mental warfare. Not physical warfare. We're not going to go out and fight the white man. You know what? If you have an army, everybody in your army works with him, so when he tells them to blow the whistle, they'll all turn and shoot you. That's the way it is. I don't right? This is America. Right? So psychological guerrilla warfare is when you change the battle space, the battlefield or the battle space. Right now, it's referred to as battle space because all the battle is not taking place on a field of battle. So the battle space is either the battlefield or cyberspace, wherever the battle is taking place. So we refer to the battle space, and the laws of it is the same as Lao Tzu's. Know your enemy, know yourself. 1,000 battles, 1,000 victories, right? We haven't lost a battle with Boss Man. Why? Because we know him. We know his system. We've had time to study it. And we choose the battle we want to fight. And he agreed. Oh, Boss Man, how about we just kill him? You don't want to kill the Pope, brother. How about psychological warfare? You got everything on your side. How about psychological warfare? You know, he tried to scare you to death. He tried to make all this moves and you get paranoid, right? This psychological. So you draw him into that. You're using, remember, if you got all that experience, you draw him into the battlefield. Hey, boss man, why don't we sign off on all of that murder and killing and putting poison in people's drinks? How about this? You got everything on your side. How about psychological? Remember we gave lectures on this years ago. We started 20 years ago with air war. Does anybody remember air war? Air war. Anyway, psychological guerrilla warfare. We've already won that. We've already won that. That's old stuff. Psychological guerrilla warfare. Where we have made a fool or an idiot out of the system. And all the people in the system, we've made a fool out of Abdul Malik Ali. They have hundreds, and they speak before hundreds of thousands of people out there in California, right? But we've informed the people, and the people know. They students from Boss Man, right? What about Hashim Alauddin and those people? Hashim Alauddin, for our brother that plays basketball, that helps us out here. I'll tell you what we did with the money. If he used to give us big checks, $25,000, you know. He helped us buy that property, and that property, I called him about this property up in, but man, it was almost free. And I told him the price. He sent me the money the next day. That property there, the same thing. I said, man, we got such and such amount of money.